What's up guys, Eric McCabe here, doing my in the bag for the 2017 season. Currently I'm rocking the Dynamic Discs Zuka cart. I've got the Eric McCabe edition bag in it. It kind of depends on the course that I'm playing, the terrain of it, if I actually use the cart or if I pull the bag out itself. I'm going to start with something that I think should be in everybody's bag, no matter what manufacturer you throw. That is, of course, the official PDGA rulebook. This needs to be in everybody's bag. That way you don't have any questions if you're on the course during a tournament or anything like that. The PDGA rulebook is a must in every single person's bag out there. All right, let's start with some putters. I am currently putting with the Prime Judge. I've got the Ironman ones in the bag right now. The Judge has been really great for me the past couple years. It's very nice and straight to stable. I prefer the Prime plastic because it's a touch softer than the Classic Hard and not quite as overstable. The reason I like to putt with something more overstable is, one, I'm a spin putter, and two, it really forces me to commit to my putts. I noticed when I was throwing putters that weren't quite as overstable, I get lazy with my putts and then I would start missing them. With something like the Judge that's overstable, I have to commit to every single putt. So throwing this forces me to commit to those putts. That's my putting putters. As far as a throwing putter goes, I've got the Classic Blend Marshall. I carry two of them. I've got one in the bag just for a backup, but I've got this one in the bag. It's been there for close to a year now. It holds that nice turnover line, it holds that straight line, and it'll even hyzer out if I need it to. It's probably my go-to throwing putter. Classic Blend Marshall. The only other putter really in the bag is a slammer, and it happens to be a Lucid Slammer. This disc is nothing short of amazing, very overstable, very predictable. I know exactly what I'm getting out of this disc. If it's windy, if it's not windy, no matter the conditions, I know I can trust the Lucid Slammer. I know I can throw it out there flat with a lot of power, and I know it's going to finish out to the left. That's pretty much it on putters. Let's start with mids. I carry, obviously, the EMAC Truth is my staple mid-range, and currently carrying 5 of those in the bag right now. I carry a Moonshine one that's going to be my overstable guy. I've got the, actually it's a pretty cool L64 Customs, got the EMAC stamp on there. This one is relatively new, so it's going to fly pretty straight to stable. I can really rely on it. If the headwind is up, I'll go for the Moonshine. With not a lot of wind is when I break out this guy. I've got a MIDRANGES one that is pretty understable. I can get it to hold the right line if I need it to. The reason I carry so many EMAC Truths, I actually cycle these in and out of the bag quite often. So it just kind of depends on what week you catch me, which ones are in the bag. But currently, I've also got this nice hybrid EMAC one. It's relatively stable. It's kind of a backup for the stamped one, and it doesn't come out of the bag a whole lot. It will during practice rounds, but my go-to one is pretty much going to be either the stamp one or this bad boy right here. This one has been in the bag for about a year, and it'll hold pretty much any line I can put on it, and it's just great. It's been very, very predictable. I don't throw it a whole lot if the wind is up, but I will throw it on pretty much any line. I can get it to hold a nice ante. It flies dead straight on a rope, and yeah, it has so much glide too. So everybody knows I love the EMAC Truth and think everybody needs to pick 1 or 2 or 12 up. Other mids, I really don't have a lot of mids because of how many EMACs I carry and cycle them in and out. Have beat up ones for the nice anhyzer shots. The other one is the Justice. Lucid Justice. I keep it in the bag for windy days. Anytime I need maybe a forehand approach. It does not come out of the bag very often. Being in Kansas where it's super windy most of the time, that's when the disc comes out. For approaches in the wind, when I know for a fact that maybe the Truth's not going to quite hang up to the wind, I know for a fact the Justice will. That's pretty much it on mids. Next up is the fairway drivers. I've got a couple Page Pierce Lucid Convicts in the bag. These two are relatively new to the bag. I like to explain this disc to fly a lot like a longer EMAC Truth. I throw it pretty much in the same conditions, but if I need to get a little bit more distance, say 400 feet, that's when I'm breaking out the Convict. Great disc, holds a nice line. It does have a decent forehand to it if I'm trying to throw a touch forehand. A lot of players know me, I'm not very strong on the forehand. I definitely don't have a power forehand. But when I do throw a forehand, I'm either throwing the Convict or maybe a Trespass. Great disc, check them out. And speaking of Trespass, I carry one still. It's a hybrid one. And for this disc, it is more of a utility shot disc. It's a situational disc. I usually will only throw it in maybe the woods, or if I need it to hold that right line for quite some time, or forehands. It really works great for my forehand. Like I said, I don't have a lot of power behind it, so I can really get it out there nice and flat and let it fly straight and finish to the right. But other than that, it doesn't come out of the bag a whole lot unless I'm playing a tight wooded course or something I need to throw a hyzer flip and hit a line. Trespass, it's one of the old staples from DD. Next fairway driver in the bag is new to this year is the Criminal. This thing has been amazing. It's been in the bag for only a couple months now, but it is very, very predictable. Can't say enough good things about it. I'm actually carrying the Pro Panel one from the Glass Blown Open. What I throw this disc for is 300-foot shots probably, maybe approaches or a 300-foot hole off the tee, or if there's a lot of wind, because I know for a fact it's going to hold up to that wind. The Criminal is amazing. If you've got a lot of power, you're really going to like that disc. That's pretty much it for fairways. Moving on to probably one of my favorite roller discs that I've ever thrown. I carry two of them. One of them is just kind of a backup, just in case I lose the other one, or if I'm practicing for a course where I'm going to be throwing a lot of rollers. It is the Lucid Renegade. Both of these are relatively old ones. From 2014 is when this stamp is, and this one's actually a pre-made in Sweden one that I carry with the DD Owl stamp. It never has an air flight to it in my bag, unless I'm throwing what they call the patent pending shot, where you line up with your back to the target if you're maybe in the woods and like you have to stretch out, straddle out, and throw it behind your back. That's the only time that I'll air this disc out. Otherwise, it's only rollers. And I choose the Renegade because it's not overstable, but it's not understable by any means. And I can throw it out there on the same line, relatively flat, maybe slight ante, and it's gonna hit the ground and it's gonna hold that roller line. I get quite a bit of distance out of it. When I'm throwing a roller is a lot of shots where I need to keep it low, nice low ceiling maybe, or if I'm just trying to get raw distance, raw power out of it, that's when I go to the roller. Moving on to probably one of my favorite discs is the Defender. I carry, as you can see, 5 of them. The reason I carry 5 is each one of them actually does fly different, with the exception of maybe a couple of them fly relatively close to each other, but it's always nice to have a backup in the bag. I've had this one in the bag since the Defender came out, so it is my more distance Defender. So if I need to get a little hyzer flip out of it or get it to hold the right line a little bit and then finish left, that's when I reach for that guy. I've got the Sparkle Radius Defender in the bag. This one is similar to the Disc Golf Answer Man one in the bag right now, meaning it's very overstable. I can pretty much trust it if I need to throw it relatively flat with a lot of power and know that it's going to finish off to the left. Or if it's quite a bit of wind, that's when I'll reach for that Defender. Then I've also got the Hand-Eye one and the Zach Melton Signature Edition. Both of these are more beat in, a little bit more power I can put behind them on a little bit more of an Anheuser line, and it's going to hold that straight line just a little bit longer and get a little bit more distance than my other two more overstable ones. Next is the Enforcer. I carry, it looks like 3 Enforcers right now, and one of them is a Lucid that is just overstable. Really only comes out of the bag if it's super windy or if I need that big skip shot. The other 2 are going to be Bio Enforcers, pretty much the same disc, just like to have a backup just in case. This disc, I can't remember the year it came out, but This one has been in my bag since then, and it has been amazing. I love this disc. If I'm playing a course where it's kind of tight OBs, but I need a lot of distance, that's when I'm throwing the BioFusion Enforcer. I can rip it out there relatively flat, maybe a slight hyzer, and know that it's gonna fly straight and finish left. I can put a lot of power on it, and I can get quite a bit of distance out of this disc. Now on to my main distance power driver shot, I guess you would say. And it is the Sheriff. I've got a Fusion Sheriff in the bag with Drew Gibson stamp and a nice BioFusion Sheriff. These, they come out of the bag quite a bit on bigger, longer, more open style courses. Really like to throw these things on a nice hyzer with some height, and every single time it's gonna hold that right line, and if I get the height right on them, it finishes back to the left. It's a little unpredictable seeing as how it's a speed 13, but man, can I get a lot of distance out of this disc when I throw it correctly. This is actually the longest flying disc that I've ever thrown in my career, and I love the BioFusion plastic, I love the Fusion plastic, and I just can't say enough good things about the Sheriff. That's pretty much my bag. I like to keep it pretty simple. I just like to carry various molds, multiples of those molds, and yeah, keep it really simple, and that way there's not a lot of confusion on the course. Don't have to think a whole lot, know what I want to throw, and just execute the shot. That's pretty much my bag. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it, and we'll see you on the course.